Um, Thanks for watching and listening to Talk Spirit. I'm here with a special guest, Andre Davis. He started his spiritual journey, I would say, about 10 years ago. He was going through that chaotic time in his life. As we all know, we've all been through those tower moments and that time where it's like we can't figure out how to get it right. He tried doing, like everyone else, going to the gym, eating clean, but he still couldn't calm his chaotic mind. Then he stumbled upon YouTube where he found meditation. And so he is a husband and a father and a business leader. And from there, he started his journey with this spiritual, as we call our spiritual journey, and finding his true authentic self. He went to, I believe he said, you said that you traveled internationally, right? To
Yes.
spiritual retreats
Hmm.
on this journey. From there, he actually ended up becoming a certified meditation instructor to help other people. So this is a gift that he loves to share and to help people, learn to relax the mind and calm that chaotic mind and find their true authentic self. In 2011, he began studies of meditation, ancient wisdom, um, teachings like Reiki, yoga, and Qi Gong. Did I say that correctly?
Got it. You got it.
um, and he continues to travel throughout the U.S. and he can be found on acousticliving.com, where he has all his information. And I'll let him introduce himself and tell you more about himself. Hi, Andre.
Peace and blessings, Jenny. How you doing?
I am good. How are you?
Excellent. Thank you for having me. It's great to be here.
Of course.
Yeah.
So, just tell us a little bit about like what you do, what people can find on your website, acousticliving.com. Just whatever you would like to share as far as being a meditation instructor and, how meditation can help you, and how it's helped you, you're obviously the walking proof of how it changed your life. And I can relate. So yeah.
Yeah. No, excellent. That's a great question. I think, we often learn from the stories that other people are able to share based off of personal experience, and they tend to be the most impactful. So if you don't mind, I'll start at the beginning, and it goes it
Sure.
starts at a time when it was most hectic for me. Kind of, you said, I love how you phrase that, the tower moments in life, because that
Oh
to
yeah.
me, yeah, that's what it seemed like. It seemed like it was a moment that was almost insurmountable, and there was nothing outside of me that I could use to help solve those challenges. For example, I was a newlywed. I was in graduate school at the time. I was taking 7 grad classes because I wanted to earn my MBA in 1 year, and my wife was pregnant. So we were expecting our first child within a matter of months. And so the stress level for me was beyond belief. I hadn't experienced any stress like that before. As you alluded to, I tried to go to the gym and work it out. I was running about 8 miles every other day.
Oh
Um,
wow.
yeah, it was serious. It was serious. I was juicing. I would only, fruits and vegetables, and I pretty much reduced my diet down to juicing and maybe kind of, a couple of like some different types of nuts and stuff like that, something to chew on. But that was my diet. But all of that still could not calm the anxiety and the thoughts, the rampant and intrusive thoughts that were running through my mind. So as life would have it, as they say, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. I was sitting
Yep.
down to study. It was so crazy at that time. I had my dining room table organized where at every seat there was a textbook for each one of my 7 classes. And so I would just rotate around the dining room table, going from study to study, class to class. And I sat in this one seat and I opened up my computer and I went on YouTube and I saw a video from Deepak Chopra, and he was talking about meditation. And it was not just what he was saying, it was how he was saying it. I said, whatever he's doing, that's exactly what I need in my life at this point. I said, whatever it is. And he was talking about a 21-day meditation challenge. And I was like, you know what? I can't wait till Monday for this to start. I got to try this right now, because I had tried everything else and it didn't work. So I decided literally to pick up my phone and set the timer for 3 minutes. I set the timer for 3 minutes, and I saw before, I remember seeing, I don't know, it was maybe in a movie where you do a mudra. I didn't even know what a
Yeah.
mudra was at that time, because, you know, I grew up, I was raised Church of God in Christ and Baptist. So there were no mudras. So I did a mudra and I closed my eyes and I took a deep breath and I saw all of the thoughts that were running through my mind, all the fear, all the worry, all the doubts. Am I going to be a good enough husband? Am I going to be a great father? Am I going to get the job that I wanted to after I finished my MBA? All these things started floating through my mind and I became aware of them. And it was the longest 3 minutes. Let's be honest, it was one of the longest 3 minutes of my life. But when I
Yeah.
got done, I realized, I said, man, the tail has been wagging the dog the whole time. The whole time. It was at that moment that I made a decision, one of the most critical decisions I've made in my life. I decided that I was going to meditate daily and observe all these things that have been keeping me up at night, that causing me to stress and worry. And there was nothing outside of myself that I could do to address them. And so I went on this journey where I was meditating every day, and it started out simple, 3 minutes, because that's all I had. That's all I could do. I couldn't sit for 5. I couldn't sit for 10. So I sat for 3 minutes, and that 3 minutes eventually grew to 5 and then 10. And then I started to notice that I was healing. As I was meditating, there were traumatic things that had happened from a childhood that started coming up. And I felt comfortable just sitting there and just witnessing. And then from there, then I started meditating in my garage. And then I started meditating outside. And then outside with the blindfold. So it was this progression, constant progression and growth as I was able to heal and with a sense of comfort to be able to witness all the things that were running through my mind and just be at peace with observing them and being able to respond as opposed to react. And so that journey led me to, as you alluded to earlier, attending various spiritual retreats, both here in the United States and internationally as well. I started practicing yoga, of course, Reiki, and then also Qigong, which still to this day is, those are kind of like the bedrocks of my spiritual practice. And at the present moment, I am the founder of Akashic Living. Akashic Living is a meditation and personal transformation company. You can find information about some of the services and the healing modalities that I use at akashicliving.com, and also have a YouTube channel where I offer meditations. And as a certified meditation instructor, I love sharing the gift of meditation simply because it is an absolute game changer in our lives, especially where we are right now in the world, where things are very tumultuous and there's a lot of turmoil for folks. Being able to meditate and take your mind from activity into silence is absolutely paramount. And being able to understand how to develop a practice, what meditation is, what are some of the experiences you can have, and how to develop a consistent practice is essential in terms of self-care and self-love. So
Yeah. One thing I will say is I like how you was talking about how you started out with only that 3 minutes. And I say for beginners, don't go trying to meditate for an hour to start out with. Like, because you gotta give yourself time to like get into that mode. And I noticed for me, and this is just my personal thing, the best thing for me was to do those guided meditations in the beginning. Instead of trying to self-meditate at first myself, I did really well with guided, where I would hear someone guide me into meditation. And you said you did a YouTube. What is your YouTube name?
sure, YouTube channel is called Akashic Living,
Okay.
aka SHIC Living, just like the website as well.
Okay. And so on there, you said you do meditation. So do you do the guided meditations on there that people can listen to? And, I know that sometimes for beginners, the guided meditations are really the best approach. And I've always noticed that has been one of the best approaches for me is the guided meditations. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So on my YouTube channel, you can find guided meditations. You can find silent meditation. I also have a 21-day morning prayer that I released as well. So pretty much what you need to establish a spiritual practice. I do have videos for that. But to your point, what helped me in building a practice was starting out exactly where I was. I knew I could not sit at that point for a half hour or an hour.
Yeah.
So, right. So I was very honest with myself because I think the key with establishing a really good practice is being sincere and being willing. Right. And the
Yeah.
sincerity part came was I'm going to be sincere with where I was at that time. I wanted to do it. I just knew at
Yeah.
that time I had so much that was going on. So being very sincere and earnest and saying, hey, 3 minutes is where I'm at right now. And to your point, guided meditations, that's what I started out with. Deepak Chopra's 21-day meditation challenge with Oprah Winfrey. I would listen to, they take you through somewhat of a talk in the beginning, a Dharma talk or something in the beginning.
Yeah.
And then they would eventually ease into meditation. And that meditative period, I mean, it would probably be about 10 minutes on the high
Yeah.
end. But the fact that they were able to give you a mantra, right? And so when you're starting out, I think for some people, a mantra can be very helpful, right? If you break down
Yeah.
the word mantra in Sanskrit, it means mind and instrument, right? So it gives your mind an instrument to focus on. So you're
Yeah.
not kind of like all over the place, right? You just
Yeah.
focus on that,
And
focus
I
on
think
your
it
breathing.
also helps silence the mind a little bit as well as listening to those is to help the mind relax. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, in the beginning, you're gonna experience all those emotions, right? Some people, when
Yeah.
they start meditating, you may start feeling like energy that's moving around. You become aware of it. You may start
Yeah.
crying, have tears. The release of stress and toxins.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what
Yeah.
it is.
I know sometimes I have like a floaty feeling when I do
Mm-hmm.
it. I feel
Mm-hmm.
like I'm kind of floating above my body or I feel like I'm floating. So yeah, I know
That's
some I don't know why that happens to me, but it does a lot.
we all
um,
experience. Yeah, different stages of
yeah,
consciousness through meditation. So yeah, that happens.
yeah. I know with my work as a medium,
Mm-hmm.
my job is that when I am connecting with, the spiritual realm or with the spirit of a loved one, my
Mm-hmm.
job is I have to, and this is something I learned in mediumship, development, is I have to get my own mind out of the way to allow the telepathic messages from spirit and to allow spirit to use my body basically as that messenger for the sitter or the person there. So my job as a medium is I have to raise my vibrations and they have to kind of drop theirs so that we can meet in the middle.
Right.
So that is actually how I'm able to connect is by kind of going into a meditative state
Mm-hmm.
when I am channeling. So a lot of
Mm-hmm.
people notice when I'm channeling, I'm like looking off or I'm drawing, like I'm doing automatic writing. That is because I have to get out of my own head.
Right.
Because if I was in my own head, my readings wouldn't work. So, like, so yeah, I can completely understand because every time I channel, I go into a meditative state. I am in a different state of consciousness to be able to connect with that spiritual realm. So, yeah.
That's a
What
beautiful thing.
made you decide to be a teacher of this, though? I know it's one thing to want to do it for yourself, but to take on, I want to teach other people. I want to do this. Like, I want to be a teacher to do this. Like, what
Yeah.
what did that?
No, that's a great question. It's a great question. It's kind of like you ever get something, eat something that was really good and you want to share it. You want other people to experience that.
I
It's
love
kind of
that.
like
Oh
that.
my God. Yes. I love
Yeah,
that. I love that.
you
I
know.
always say with mine, I was just drug in this, like, it's like I had no choice. I don't know. So,
Yeah, yeah.
um,
I mean, it felt like that. It felt like I had like there's a spiritual law that you only get to keep what you give. All right, you only get to keep
yeah,
what you give. And so for me, being able to stumble upon, if you will, the gift of meditation, I felt like I would be selfish just to try to keep it to myself, right? To
yeah,
hoard it, right? That if something has been so impactful in my life that I would just
yeah.
choose to keep it to myself. Nah, I wanted to share that. I wanted to share that.
Wow. Yeah. That, and I love the analogy of like, have you ever ate something really good and you, or like if you eat at a really good restaurant and you got to tell everyone, like, oh my God, girl, you need to go try this restaurant. It is so good. Like, but yeah, I get it.
Yeah,
So that's so relatable. Yeah. As far as the spiritual retreats, I remember, you had told me that you've been to a few of them, and we both related to the silent retreat that me and you have both been to the silent retreat. I don't think people understand the silent retreat thing. People look at me crazy when I tell them that I went to a silent retreat, but what are the different types of retreats you've been to, and what do you feel that the benefits of those were?
yeah. So as we discussed, the silent retreat is one type that I've experienced, and it was absolutely that was actually my first retreat, if you will, and it was Thursday through Sunday, 4 days, and
Yeah.
literally as soon as you arrive, they ask you to respect the policy of maintaining silence. And so I went with my wife, and inherently, just naturally, I love silence. I don't, if I had to choose, I'd prefer to be kind of quiet and just sit and be in nature. So as soon as we got there, I was happy. I loved it. It was so
I'm a
quiet and
talker,
peaceful.
so it was not.
She said she's a talker. Nah, listen, I think, after a while, everybody kind of just, what was beautiful about it, everybody kind of just harmonized.
Yeah,
We
no,
didn't
no,
say
it was a
one
great
word.
experience, yeah.
Yeah, we didn't say one word, but there was so much intimacy in there, right? Where you go for 4 days and you don't speak one word to a person, but by the end of the experience, you feel like you've known that person and that they are a part of you. And that goes back to when you talk about mediumship and your work as a medium, being able to expand your consciousness, right?
Yeah,
So that you can come into a level of coherence with beings that are on the other side of the veil, if you will. That's kind of what happens here, where you see the divine in everyone and in everything. So there's no more, well, this person's from here or this person's from there. It's just like, hey, we are just one body
yeah, and there's
expressing.
almost like a telepathic,
Yeah.
like conversation that you have with people there. That's
Yeah.
something I experienced, is like, it's like telepathically, it's like we're communicating. Like, it's so weird. But that was something I experienced with the silent retreat, was the like it's like you could feel the energy of other people. It's like
Hmm.
you can feel like kind of what they're going through, and
Hmm.
yeah, like you said, there's like no judgment. There's like, because you don't know who these people are, so
Yeah.
they can't tell you about themselves, so like ego can't come into play here. Like,
Hmm.
with no judgment, it's like a telepathic kind of energy of like, we're all here, we're all trying to heal, and things like that. I know when I left, I went into the desert and screamed. After, it felt so good. Like,
Get it out.
I screamed so loud in the middle of the desert.
Mm.
And that's another thing I tell people, like, go scream somewhere super
Hmm.
loud and get all of that out. Like, I know that sounds insane, but like, you know,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think that's
Release
the
it.
loudest I've ever screamed. And I was in the middle of
That's
the
all.
desert.
That's all.
So yeah. So I don't know. It was like a
That's
release.
awesome. Yeah. No, release the energy. Yeah, release it. That
But
energy
yeah.
is stuck. Can be stuck somewhere, causing inertia. Get that out.
Yeah.
Get that
Yeah.
out. Beautiful. But yeah, I love
And
how you
what
phrased it.
was some of the other um, retreats that you've attended?
Yeah, so another retreat I attended was in Costa Rica. It was an ayahuasca retreat, which was a ceremony where, for 4 nights we would go to a maloca, and we would have shamans there to help facilitate our ceremonies, and everyone would, drink ayahuasca and go down the path of the inward journey, if you will, right? So
Yeah,
being able to, in a safe and comfortable way,
yeah.
address whatever Mama Aya got for you that particular night. So yeah, that was
Oh, wow.
a beautiful retreat, a beautiful retreat.
That's amazing. I know my worry was like the bathroom thing, and you were talking about that. That you actually prepare your body, they prepare your body for that so that we don't have those things. But there is the vomiting and things like that, correct, with this?
Yeah, there is, and I got to say the place that I went to was excellent, excellent in terms of the education, right? So before you
Yeah.
even get there, they give you kind of like a somewhat of a washout period. There's certain things that they recommend that you abstain from. In addition to, while you're there, they do a great job of providing fresh organic foods, and your diet is really conducive to making sure that you're not causing any type of interference or interaction with the plant medicine, right? So you'll
Okay.
fast from, maybe, I think it's from 4 o'clock. I think maybe 4 o'clock until the next day. And so it's, you're really, you don't have a lot of heavy things in your stomach, because part of the medicine is that, you're purging. You're going to purge up
Yeah.
old emotion and energy and those things that are, stagnant in your body. So that's part of it.
Yeah. Okay.
Mhm.
And is there like an age limit on this? Like what ages like could you start going?
I didn't see any minors there, so I would assume that everyone was at least 18 years of age.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
but what they really did, they did a great job. They had physicians on staff, and so everybody went through an examination before, just to make sure that if you had any health problems or any type of medication, that there weren't any contraindications, and that your body was ready for that type of ceremony.
And how long did you say it lasted again? How
Sure.
many days?
So 4 days you were in ceremony, and that was in the evening, and then in the morning time you would take classes, or you were free to, you could do yoga or go on excursions and things like that. So the whole
Yeah.
retreat was a 7-day retreat, though.
Okay.
Hmm.
And so, during the ceremony, like how long does the actual medicine last, the effects of the medicine, and like what was that feeling like? Is it like, do you feel like you're drunk? Like I've never done it, so that's
Yeah.
why I'm asking. It like what is that actual feeling? I think people get nervous because they're like, how am I gonna feel? Do you feel like a hungover feeling the next day? Like, does it
Mhm.
only last a short period? You know what I mean? So
Yeah, yeah. Each blend of ayahuasca is different. Each brew is different, right? So they have, and depending on the shaman and the region where
yeah.
it's brewed, right? So some of them can be a little stronger than others, right? And some could elicit that deep shadow work, and some could be more of a joyful, euphoric type of energy, right? So it depends on the different brew. I can say that the ceremony in and of itself, it lasts for several hours. We would enter the Maloka, I want to say around 5 or 6, and we would get out maybe like two in the morning, 2 or 3 in the morning, right? So it
Yeah.
was it was several hours, and you know, it depending on the person, right? So some people have really deep experiences, and they're doing a lot of deep inner work of the subconscious. Some people can go there and they can drink ayahuasca, and I've had people tell me that they had 4 different cups in one sermon, and nothing happened. And so what they call that is a nada, meaning nothing happened, because the work that was done was being done on an ancestral level, right? And so
Got
that it
you.
was such a deep experience that you didn't even register, you couldn't register all that was happening at that time. So it varies person to person, and what's to be learned at that time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
And how would you say this really transformed you? Do you feel I hear that people say that when they do this,
Mhm.
like they notice that they're not having those blocks with manifestations. And I
Mm.
know a lot of people, but it, I mean, do you feel like this is a must that people should all do this? Or do you feel like they're everybody can have their each individual journey of like meditation and other forms of healing? Like, I don't know. I just kind of feel like everyone can kind of go down their own path, but I mean, your opinions may differ. Um,
Yeah, no, no, it's a great question because I enjoyed it, right? I felt like, and the way people phrase it is that it's 30 years of therapy in 7 days, right? So, but
yeah,
that worked, that intense environment, that worked for me, right? So for me, it
yeah,
removed a lot of blockages. It allowed me to address things in my life that I may have repressed because they were too difficult to handle, right? My body, my mind couldn't handle at the time, or I suppressed them because I just chose not to deal with them, right? So I was able
yeah,
to, in a comfortable setting, address them. But some people that may not, they may not feel called to do that, right? And I always feel that the medicine will, you'll feel the calling, you'll feel the urge to want to
yeah,
try if it's for you. You know, I found out
yeah.
about ayahuasca. I went to a Mary Morrissey conference in Hollywood. It was
Okay,
January of 2020, and I was sitting at the California Pizza Kitchen at the bar. There was one seat left. One seat, the whole place was packed. I found the one seat, and the lady to my right was talking about ayahuasca, and the gentleman to my left had already tried it. And I asked the lady to my right, I said, "Would you try it?" And she was like, "Yeah, baby." I was like, "I think I'm gonna do it too." So literally, that was the seed. Fast forward 18 months later, I'm in Costa Rica, and I'm at an ayahuasca ceremony. So I feel like
that's
we feel the
in the
call
midst of the pandemic, apparently too. So,
in the heat of it. They COVID
oh
tested us as
wow,
soon as we arrived. As soon as we arrived to the retreat, we had to get COVID
yeah.
tested. So yeah.
I mean, I live in California. I'm in the LA area as well, and
Hmm.
I run into so many clients who have done that and so many people. So there's a lot of people here that are very open to that and things like that. I think I told you my fear was just like everybody vomiting everywhere and going to the bathroom on yourselves. Like I am super OCD. Like people do it's too much sometimes. Like so like I can handle like one or two people, but if it's like a big group of everybody throwing up everywhere, like I don't know, like I
Yeah, yeah.
but I have showed a genuine interest in it, but I have not felt the true calling yet. So I always let spirit guide me
That's
on things. So yeah.
that's a
But
good
I
point.
love people to share their stories on those type of things as well. So yeah. But and as far as like the meditation and things like
Mhm.
that. Oh, you did say you were we were speaking before we even started about you're on the committee for some retreat as well or something like that.
Oh yeah. So
Um
one of my good friends, her name is Veronica Carrera. She was an executive at Microsoft. She is building a retreat in Costa Rica. She's in the process of, I guess, finalizing the Maloca, which is the communal area for healing. And she's building this retreat, and it's part retreat, and then it also has residence. It's called Otter Tunti. I believe her
yeah.
website should be launching within the next month or so. But yeah,
Okay.
it's a absolutely fantastic one of, I guess it's like her birth child or her mind project that she created and is coming to manifestation to watch her go through
Yeah,
these
I was
different
just
steps.
telling you I was
Yeah.
having some of the same ideas. Maybe different. I may do the silent or something like that. But yeah. For the meditation and things like that, you were mentioning people can go on the website. Is there people who can learn different things? And do you offer any type of healing or anything like that? Like what all do you offer as far as services that people can find?
Sure, absolutely. So on the website, you can look at some of the services. For example, I teach meditation, whether it's individual or for groups, also
Yeah.
corporate mindfulness. I'm a graduate of the Myrna Brin School of Mindfulness here in Pennsylvania, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. So I've completed mindfulness MBSR training to help people really tap into a more mindful, just aware way of being. So doing that for corporations as well. I also offer personal one-on-one consultations. I'm a student at Agape University, which is the university for Michael Bernard Beckwith. I've been studying there for several years, in addition to offering affirmative prayer. We often talk about meditation being one of the fundamental aspects of spirituality in your practice, but another part is prayer. And I know people
Yeah.
sometimes it's introduced to prayer through, kind of being on your knees, but, the technology that I use is a bit more from the perspective of saying that everything is within us. And so
Yeah.
we have the power within us to call forth the qualities that we're looking to experience in our life. And we've had great, phenomenal results with affirmative prayer sessions as well. So all that's on the website too.
Okay. And I shared it at the top, and it'll
Excellent.
be shared as well through the Spotify and stuff.
Excellent.
So I remember me and you were talking. We had talked a couple weeks ago when we were
Mhm.
briefing before this, and we were talking about how we could manifest parking spaces. Remember our conversation about
I
that?
do. I
And
do.
you were mentioning like people like I called it the parking ferry, and in LA, everyone knows it's parking is insane, and I always manifest parking spaces. But what you were saying is that if you can manifest that, you can manifest anything because it's all from the same energy.
Mhm.
So I just wanted you to talk about that because that sat with me all these weeks, and I'm like, wait a second, that is totally makes sense because I do look back, and I always tell people, look back at all the things you have manifested.
Mhm.
And, I've manifested some pretty large things that, from my car to even to living in California.
Mhm.
So, but it's like I kind of just like downsize myself a little bit, like, yeah, I manifest a parking space. But yeah, you could go into that because your explanation of it was amazing, and it definitely sat with me. But
Oh,
yeah,
that's dope. Thank you for that. I love how you say downsize because that's kind of what it is, right? So we're these
we feel
unbelievable
like we can only manifest the little things, like, oh yeah, I manifested a parking spot, oh that's cool, but I'm trying to manifest this bigger thing, so it's like we're downsizing our manifestations.
downsizing our manifestation and downsizing who we are, understanding of who we are, right? As
Yes,
if
yes, I
there's
love
something
it.
outside of ourselves to attract, right? So the law that we've come into, I guess, common awareness is the law of attraction, right?
Hmm.
But if you take it back, and you and I talked about it before, is the law of vibration, that we're all vibrating energy beings, right? But then another law off of that would be the law of radiance, right? So when we talk about law of radiance, we're speaking about within each and every one of us, we are luminous vibrating beings, and
Yeah.
encoded inside of all of us is everything, right? Is everything, because we're one with the total presence of life itself. Call it God, call it Allah, call it whatever you want to call it, infinite field of possibilities. But we are one with that presence. And inside of that presence is everything that has ever was and ever will be. It's everything. So there's nothing to attract, but there's everything to radiate, right? And so
Oh,
when
I
we
love
want
that.
to express what's already been given, we have to first become vibrationally aligned to it. And so what happens is we downsize ourselves to say, and so we're these beautiful, radiant cosmic beings, and we downsize our ability to co-create our world by saying, I can create a parking space.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. You're 1,000% right. Yes, you can. And you can also use that same divine essence to co-create an alignment or whatever else you want, right? Alignment with your true sense of who you are, your true self, your higher self, right? So there's ways, it all goes back to the understanding of who we are. Once
Yeah.
we understand who we are, then we'll understand the infinite possibilities of life.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. And also, what I was going to say is that sometimes people will try so hard to manifest a certain thing, or let's say a
Mm-hmm.
certain house or a certain, and it's like they don't get that. And sometimes I always say it might not be in alignment with you. There may be
Right.
something that is meant for you that is better, or that's in a
Mm-hmm.
different location, because maybe you weren't supposed to be in that area.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. So I always say, don't, alter too much, like halter yourself too much on, like, well, this didn't happen, because sometimes there's something so much better for you that is going to come in. So I know people get stuck on, like, well, this didn't happen, or I didn't manifest this particular thing, and you know they don't
Mm-hmm.
know what is actually out there that is coming, right?
Exactly.
So yeah.
Exactly.
um
Exactly.
is there anything else that you want to add to that?
Oh no, listen, that's you're no, you're spot on with that. I think sometimes we try to understand things that are beyond the intellect, right? We try to intellectualize everything. And it's not all
Yeah,
about the intellect. The intellect has its limitations. Even the imagination has its own limitations, right? Sometimes we can only imagine based off what we've seen, based off
yeah,
our present paradigm, right? So being open and available to something that's not even within our current way of thinking, within our current operating system, right?
yeah,
And that could be one of the things where, hey, you know what, you wanted to manifest that, but maybe spirit has a whole nother way, another vision. And that's why meditation, things like meditation and those spiritual practices makes us available to a greater insight than our constricted intellect.
okay, yeah, I
Yeah.
like that, I like that. So I wanted to see if we could end this with a little short 3-minute meditation. If you could guide the meditation, and we end it with that for
Mhm.
people listening, and they could practice their own little meditation here at the end. So
Absolutely. Absolutely. That'd be my joy to do it. It'd be my joy to
okay,
do it.
all right, I will let you lead.
Excellent. Excellent. So wherever you are, I mean, I invite you to, unless you're driving, I invite you
Yeah, do
to
not drive or operate heavy machinery or be at work. Be in a relaxed place.
exactly,
That is
exactly.
the warning. Okay, go
That is the
ahead.
warning. That is the warning. So if it's comfortable for you, I invite you to close your eyes. If not, just soften your gaze and just take a few deep breaths at your own pace, at your own leisure. And allow your inhales to soften any tension you may feel in your body. Just feeling your heart space, feeling the heart that is beating in your chest. Just giving gratitude for simply being. We focus our awareness on our breath, on the inhale, on the exhale. And now we'll move into 4 soul questions. 4 questions that we can ask ourselves without judgment, without evaluation. We'll simply ask these questions and be available to whatever response we hear. So softly repeat this question to yourself. Question number 1: Who am I? Who am I? Again, without evaluation or judgment, just become available to hear the insight. Question number 2. What do I want? What do I want? Softly repeat this question to yourself. Question number 3. What is my purpose? What is my purpose in life? And question number 4. What am I grateful for? What am I grateful for? I invite you to begin to bring your awareness back to your breathing, back to your bodies, slowly wiggling your toes and your fingers as we move into the 4 intentions, seeding our consciousness with the intentions. Softly repeat these to yourself. A joyful, energetic body, a loving, compassionate heart, a reflective, alert mind, and lightness of being. Lightness of being. Please open your eyes.
All right. Well, thank you for that. That was amazing.
You're certainly welcome. You're welcome.
But no, I do thank you for coming on. I really appreciate it and sharing your insight. And also, I know meditation has greatly helped me, even has kind of helped me start doing what I'm doing and led me down this path. So I think that meditation can really help people and help heal them and help them get to that next level of their spiritual journey, is learning how to quiet the mind and really getting to know their self on a soul level, who they are as a soul being. Besides the flesh, who are they in spirit? So thank you so much, Andre, for coming on. I really appreciate it. And blessings to you and your family. And, maybe we can connect one day and again. And yeah, maybe we'll see each other at a retreat one day.
There we go. We'll see each other at your retreat, at the retreat center that you're starting, that you're building. So we'll
I am. I'm wanting to do that. It's something I'm looking into for the future. So we'll see how that goes. I'm working on manifesting. So yeah.
Hey now, that's a beautiful thing. Ginny, thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Thank
Thank you for this
you.
hopeful conversation, and continue blessings to you.
Yes. You too. All right.
All right.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Take care.